Welcome to Wine, Food and Travel with me, Marc Millon, on Italian Wine Podcast. Listen in as we journey to some of Italy's most beautiful places in the company of those who know them best, the families who grow grapes and make fabulous wines. Through their stories, we will learn not just about their wines, but also about their ways of life, the local and regional foods and specialities that pair naturally with their wines, and the most beautiful places to visit. We have a wonderful journey of discovery ahead of us, and I hope you will join me. Welcome to Wine, Food and Travel with me, Marc Millon, on Italian Wine Podcast. Today we travel to the beautiful wine hills of Barolo in Piedmont's Le Langhe to meet my guest, Valter Fissore of the Elvio Cogno Winery. Buongiorno, Valter. How are you today? What's the day like in Le Langhe?
Good morning. Good morning, Mark. Good morning, everybody. I am Valter Fissore, Elvio Cogno Winery. I am the winemaker of a historical winery of Novello in Barolo area. Today is a beautiful day because you have a rain, and it's rain about the difficult dry period, and so I am so happy.
That's interesting because, we are always imagining the sun shining in the beautiful wine country of Italy. But of course, over winter in Barolo, it's very important that you have the rain, the snow, in order to get that moisture penetrating deep into the subterranean. And you haven't had so much rain this year.
Yeah, we had a dry winter, and so the spring is important time to have enough water for the growing season. So it's important now that we have a rainy spring.
Well, I'd like you to perhaps transport our listeners into the beautiful world of the Barolo wine zone. I know it's a bit wet today, but I've been there in all seasons, in snow, in the heat of summer, and at any time with these wonderful steep hills in the valleys. It's such a beautiful area. Can you please describe where you are in the Barolo wine zone and what's unique about your corner?
Yes. We are located in the southern part of Barolo area. Is our district municipally is Novello, located very close to the Barolo, exactly in the Ravera crew. Our winery is located on the top of the hill, surrounded from 11 hectares of vineyards in one piece of land. That is our great power for us because we can manage very well the vineyards and follow directly looking at the vineyards, so not so far, and that helps to do much better wine. Novello is one of the 11 villages where the Barolo find a great expression, especially in Ravera, that is located at 380 meters above the sea level, where we have a beautiful microclimate with beautiful temperature excursion through night and day that get a beautiful freshness to the wine, especially to the Nebbiolo. Here we find a beautiful condition to express a Barolo so unique, because the characteristics of Ravera are elegance, finesse, complexity, and wine that age really well. My father-in-law founded this winery in 1991, since a long experience get from another winery in La Morra, Marcarini, that he founded in 1951 and 61, sorry. And then in 1990 we moved to Novello because he born here and know very well the potential of this crew. In fact, thanks to him, today we can consider our crew very important.
This is really interesting, Valter, because you're beginning to explain these nuances that are found in a great wine region like Barolo, where small differences in soil and exposition in from one comune to the next gives a completely different expression in these wines all produced from this same grape variety, Nebbiolo. Tell us a little bit about Nebbiolo, this great grape of Italy.
Nebbiolo grape is became in the last years one of the most important grape of Italy, and this variety found a great condition to grow in Piedmont. In fact, is Piedmont is the unique place where you can Piemonte and a little bit of Lombardia in Valtellina. You find great condition to grow because probably the microclimate and the soil are very unique, and this grape find really the best condition and then get the best expression of wine possible. This is part of our history, and Nebbiolo today is like Sangiovese is one of the most important red grape of Italy. Barolo, Nebbiolo grape in Barolo became Barolo thanks to the microclimate and soil, limestone soil with not too much sand, but this soil change a lot, depends of the communes. We have two different areas, like Helvetian and Tortonian. Depends of the quantity of sand that you find in the soil.
So these are geological eras that...
Geological era is Helvetian and Tortonian.
Okay.
That honestly was Langhiano, Serravagliano, Tortoniano, and Messiniano. That is a smaller geological era.
Okay. Differences in some millions of years we're talking about from when an ancient sea covered this whole area, leaving behind these deposits.
Yeah, from 15 to 5 million years ago.
Wow, amazing. Amazing how that then becomes actually reflected in the wines that we taste today. We can taste these differences from one area to the other. Can you give us a sort of broad... I know that the Elvio Cogno winery produces not only your range of Barolos, but also Barbaresco and Langhe Nebbiolo. So different expressions of Nebbiolo. Can you sort of talk about a little bit about the differences between your wines from from either Barbaresco or when you are making a Langhe Nebbiolo?
Thank you for this question. That it's important about my winery vision. Barolo for sure is really important. Is most masculine wine, more powerful. Is a wine that have a great body and great potential for age. Barolo is needs a beautiful microclimate, warmer continental, warmer time in summer, good water and cooler winter. That is very continental climate, but. In Barolo is considered the king of the wine because is a little bit more cooler area and get wines that picked a little bit later than the Barbaresco. Barbaresco is an area a little bit more in the north, considered Barolo area, is a place a little bit more warmer than Barolo area, and we produce wine a little bit more elegant and wines with more finesse that is fantastic for drinking a little bit earlier. Langhe Nebbiolo is there are a lot of expression in the Langhe about in the Barolo area about Langhe Nebbiolo, because Langhe Nebbiolo sometimes is considered the classified Barolo, but in many cases is harvest choice. So we decide to do Langhe Nebbiolo from the beginning, and we use the Nebbiolo that not come from the Barolo area, but is vineyards that is located outside the Barolo area, where you have a little bit more sandy soil and you get a wine a little more drinkable, more approachable, wines that are not a small Barolo or a small Barbaresco.
Okay, well, that's really, really interesting to get an idea of this differences in expression of Nebbiolo. Now, Valter, there's long been something of a divide between the traditional approach and a more modern approach. Does that still exist today? And how would you describe yourself as a winemaker?
Elvio Cogno style of our philosophy is to produce wine that respect much better the characteristic of the original grape. So we don't want to change the characteristic of the flavors that come from the vineyards. So we are producing very natural wines. That is our goal. For this reason, we are very traditional approach to the vinification, and we use only large barrel, very neutral Slavonian oak, for example. We are making long fermentation, 40, 50 days of macerations. And recently we introduced a little bit whole cluster fermentation, because the trend is to have a more warmer seasons, and we want to have in our wines the beautiful elegance and finesse that come from the whole cluster style.
Okay, so the whole cluster, that's only in part of the vinification, is it?
Partially. It depends how we can interpret the vintage. That is very important. You cannot do every year the same, you know. But what is really important that we are producing wines that are the best expression of the Ravera crew. That is our signature.
Well, let's talk about that Rivera crew in more detail. And also, I think, Valter, it's very important for our listeners to get a little bit of a handle on the MGAs, a Menzione Geografica Aggiuntiva, because I think it's something wine drinkers are less familiar of, this idea of really having that pinpoint precision from these named cru vineyards that have history and character and personality. So if we could talk a little bit about Ravera, what makes that special, but also in general about MGAs and their increasing importance.
Yeah, since 2010 we get MGA, and that was a very important key point for the consumer and for the wine lovers that want to understand a little bit better the difference that we have with different position, with different vineyards. That is really important. We're talking about the crew, but MGA is the right name, and MGA represent wines that comes from a special area, special zone, and where the wines have different aspects, different sensation, different aromas, different personality. That is really important for us. And today, with the MGA, Barolo increased the notoriety around the world. Ravera is located in the border of the Novello village near Barolo, take part of the Chuvi, and Ravera is considered today one of the most important crew of Novello. Thanks also to Elvio Cogno that since 1981 already put on the label the crew, the name of the MGA Ravera. Ravera is located at 380 meters, so it's a very windy place. So we have a beautiful freshness and beautiful temperature excursions. And you get this aspect in the wines. When you try the wine, find a beautiful minerality and the freshness, elegance, but complexity for sure. The MGA today mostly became famous, are more famous than others, but that helps to understand why we make this choice, because in the years before we talking about Barolo in general, and you don't have this single expression comes from the single crew.
Yes, I think it is really important, and it's certainly a way for wine lovers to have an extra tier of enjoyment, an extra level of understanding of an area. First of all, beginning to consider the different comune and how styles change between Novello, Barolo, Serralungo, or Castiglione Faletto, but also this precision from the individual name vineyards. So I would urge our listeners to be aware of the MGAs, not just in Barolo, but in other areas of Italy, in Barbaresco, for example, as well as the name of the wine itself. Now, Valter, can we talk about a special white wine that is not often encountered, your Anescetta, produced from Nascetta, an unusual grape that, as I say, many people will not have heard of, let alone tasted.
Yes, we are lucky also because in Novello we found Nascetta grape, and Elvio Cogno was a little bit the pioneer to save this historical variety that since 18th century was very popular here in Novello commune, and then was abandoned. Probably was a little bit difficult to cultivate this white variety. Consider always that we are in the Barolo area. That is not so easy when you are entering competition like with a wine so important like Barolo. But anyway, today Nascetta is considered one of the best white wine of the Langhe, and thanks to our effort, today there are many producers that start to produce this wine, and this is a white wine that is picked quite later after the Dolcetto d'Alba. And in Novello, probably they find a beautiful expression because already in past we have testimony of this grape. The characteristic of Nascetta is a Mediterranean white wine for sure, but a wine that ages so well, ages really well. That is the reason that Elvio Cogno starts to produce since 1994 a little bit Nascetta, and then we start a long work to get a DOC that arrived in 2010, Langhe Nascetta. So a long road, not to don't have too much economic results. In fact, the money we don't get too much money from this white on the beginning, but today, but what is really important if for us is to save this variety because it's part of our history, is part of our tradition, and is a wine that have a beautiful characteristic regarding enological aspect, and today Nascetta with Timorasso are two great white wine that can represent very well Piemonte's white.
Yes, I think that's a really, really interesting story, and it's an example of how in Italy, elsewhere in the world, we're seeing fewer grape varieties, wines being sold just by, an ever decreasing names of grapes on the labels. But in Italy, still, there's this celebration and valuing of wines that have history and can produce quality results, even if for whatever reason they had been abandoned. So it's a beautiful story, and I hope that people will have a chance to encounter Nascetta, even if it is produced in limited quantity. Now, Nascetta, I'm thinking, Valter, as we move towards summer, it will be a wine that will go very well with the summer foods of Le Langhe. Le Langhe being one of the great food regions of Italy, of the world even, with the famous tartufo bianco in the autumn, the brasato al Barolo, these big foods to go with big wines like Barolo. But what about the foods in the summer, the wines in the summer that you would be enjoying yourself with your family? Tell us a little bit about the gastronomy of your area.
The gastronomy is really important in the Langhe, and today we are famous also not only for the wine but also for our food and our cuisine. Right? We have a lot of beautiful antipasti that we are famous for that, but also famous for tajarin. For tajarin is and egg and made pasta that have a beautiful pairing with the wines. Nascetta, for example, we drink in summer, but not only in summer because it's a very gastronomic wine. It's very full body wines, and you can enjoy with many different food. For sure, the fish is very good, but not only, also white meat, vegetables grilled. In Piedmont, we have fried zucchini flowers that are very beautiful and very good, and these are great match with the wine, with Nascetta. Then Dolcetto d'Alba that we drink in also in summer, a little bit chilled. Is a wine very fruity and like pairing with raw meat. Our fassone meat that is very beautiful, very soft and delicate. And also fresh cheese like Tuma di Murazzano, for example, that is very good with Dolcetto d'Alba. Barbera, I love for example, Barbera, I love with tajarin, with truffles, or with rich food because it's a little bit more needs. Barbera has acidity and needs a little bit more fat food, and is very good with pork, with our arrosti and tajarin with truffles. And Barolo is a wine that I love to drink always. Sorry, but because it's a wine that also recently I started to drink Barolo also with the fish. So for explain that how is changed the Barolo in the years. In past was very austere, very heavy, a little bit too much tannic. Today is more delicate, more drinkable, more fresh because the viticulture helps to get the wine in this way. And but Nebbiolo is beautiful with our arrosti, with our meat, with our brasato al Barolo, use typical food of Piedmont, main course.
Well, wonderful. It's a really, really delicious menu. I think it's certainly one of the great food areas of Italy, as well as one of the greatest wine areas. Just finally, Walter, the wine country of Le Langhe has been marked by UNESCO as a World Heritage Site. Tell us, our listeners, just a little bit about what is so attractive and what they should do when they come to visit Le Langhe, why they should visit Le Langhe in addition to seeking out great wine and food.
Yes, the Langhe recently has become a place where the tourists come very often because it's very very special place, very very unique. They came initially for the wines and for the food, but today is a place that also was important. It's important also for the tourists to have different excursions with bicycle. We are doing many. We have a lot of castle to visit. So for sure, the visit is enogastronomic tours, but we have a lot of things to do that because Langhe, thanks to UNESCO, is became important in the world and is you are immersed into the nature and you can admire the winery, the vineyards, or very well is all is very well organized, and you find a place that honestly is not too expensive considering the quality that we can get offer.
Yes, it's as you say, Walter, it's a place where you can immerse yourself totally into a magnificent countryside with so much to offer. Walter, thank you very much for being my guest today. You've really taken us into Le Langhe, into an understanding of the wines of Elvio Cogno, and also into a deeper understanding of some of the nuances of Barolo through the MGAs and the differences in expression of this great grape, Nebbiolo. I hope to be back in Le Langhe before too long, and it would be a real pleasure to meet. But in the meantime, thank you very much, and I look forward to seeing you soon.
Thank you very much for this interview. You are very kind to get this opportunity to me, and I'm sorry if my English is not so perfect to explain everything, but I try to the best as I am doing with the wine.
No, your English has been perfect, and you've been a great ambassador of the area. So thank you very much, and a presto. Grazie.
Thank you so much.
Ciao.
Ciao, Mark.
We hope you enjoyed today's episode of Wine, Food and Travel with me, Marc Millon, on Italian Wine Podcast. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe right here or wherever you get your pods. Likewise, you can visit us at ItalianWinePodcast.com. Until next time, chin chin.
guys, I'm Joy Livingston, and I am the producer of the Italian Wine Podcast. Thank you for listening. We are the only wine podcast that has been doing a daily show since the pandemic began. This is a labor of love, and we are committed to bringing you free content every day. Of course, this takes time and effort, not to mention the cost of equipment, production, and editing. We would be grateful for your donations, suggestions, requests, and ideas. For more information on how to get in touch, go to ItalianWinePodcast.com.